Being a Christian means that I believe what I believe about sexuality because I believe what I believe about Jesus. I follow him, which means I follow what he teaches about this part of life. Many people might be surprised to hear that Jesus has anything at all to say about sexuality. It is common today to think of Jesus as being neutral, more concerned with issues of justice than what people get up to in the privacy of their bedrooms. But Jesus isn't that straightforward to categorize. He doesn't fit neatly into our conceptions of what he should and shouldn't be bothered about. The fact is, Jesus has things to say about sexuality, very significant things. Not necessarily easy things, but I would suggest compelling ones nonetheless. For starters, there's this, from Jesus' most famous block of teaching, the Sermon on the Mount. You have heard that it was said, "You shall not commit adultery." But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Matthew chapter 5, verses 27 and 28. Jesus is quoting one of the 10 Commandments, the one which forbade adultery. His Jewish, likely male audience would indeed have been familiar with it, and in very many cases they would have been sure they'd kept it. They'd never been unfaithful in their own marriages or been the cause of unfaithfulness in anybody else's. But Jesus shows them that the command is not just about regulating external behavior, but also exposes what goes on in our hearts. We might never have cheated on anybody. We might not have ever been married or even physically sexually active. But if we've looked at someone else lustfully, Jesus says we have gone against God's command. To look lustfully is to turn someone else's sexuality into a commodity, a consumable, something to be taken for one's own gratification. Whatever God's design is for human sexuality, this goes right against it. Implicit in what Jesus is saying here is that each of us has a sexual dignity that matters so much to him that it mustn't be violated, even in the privacy of someone else's mind. Apparently, this matters profoundly to Jesus. In this sense, we're not just animals, and sex isn't just physical. My friend's dog might not think twice about trying to mount an unsuspecting guest because that's what dogs do. They don't ask for permission or wait for consent. But for us, our sexuality is much more closely related to our emotional and psychological health. It is why the damage of sexual abuse goes way beyond being merely physical. In the wider context of the Sermon on the Mount, the point Jesus seems to be making is that all of us, by nature, misuse our own sexuality and other people's. Our hearts are naturally lustful. The forgiveness that Jesus came to bring is going to be needed by all of us in this area of life. In the beginning. On another occasion, Jesus was asked about divorce. Some Pharisees came to him to test him. They asked, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason?" "Haven't you read," he replied, "that at the beginning the Creator made them male and female, and said, 'For this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh?' So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore what God has joined together, let no one separate." Matthew chapter 19, verses 3 through 6. Jesus answers by referring back to the beginning, to the first 2 chapters of the Bible, referring to Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, where we're told that God created humanity in his image as male and female, and then directly quoting Genesis chapter 2, verse 24, "For this reason." These 2 opening chapters of the Bible show us God's design for sexuality. Jesus affirms that we have been created male or female. This raises important questions about how we understand gender identity, which we are not able to cover in this book. But as far as Jesus is concerned, we are not just human beings, but men and women.